And it's some 56 minutes after 7 here on the AM show. Our show is brought to you by Mixi Coffee. Now, for centuries, an age-old tradition of killing disabled children accused of being evil in parts of northern Ghana has sent thousands to their early grave. In 2013, Sirigu and 7 other communities in the Upper East region, notorious for the belief, announced they were no more going to kill spirit children after years of advocacy and community engagement by rights campaigners. 1 year after the announcement, Joy News' Justice Baidu has been to Sirigu to find out what has changed. This was aired earlier this morning in our AM News, but we're discussing it in detail. I want to remind all of us of the story. We'll come back in the studio and I'll introduce to you my guests.
Once a dreaded land for disabled children and newborn babies whose birth come with bad luck. This is Sirigu, a village in the semi-arid scrublands of Ghana's Upper East region.
We used to kill spirit children because they are evil and are a bad luck on the society. Some of them were really evil, but now some people came and said we should stop killing them. I hope the bad luck of spirit children will not come to harm this village now that we are allowing them to survive. As for me, I'm even old and I've advised the other child killers to stop. I hope they would listen.
Ghana's Act 560 makes child killing criminal, punishable by law. But the secrecy surrounding the act makes it impossible to find any of the killers. This is the Sirigu market, bustling hub of trade activities. Here, once every week.
Okay, so the gentleman who filed that story, my colleague Justice Baidu is joining me. And Raymond Ayene is External Affairs Manager Africans, because they also do a lot of work around this. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Okay, so Justice, you filed that story. How did you get hold of it?
I first got to know of the spirit child situation in the Upper East region somewhere in November last year, when I saw one young man called Paul Apoida, who himself had survived several attempts to have him killed while he was young, because, like we said in the story, his birth came with a lot of bad luck in his family. His father, his mother, and about 5 of his family members died just around the same period.
So they thought it was because of him.
Exactly.
It was because of his existence.
Exactly. And for ages, this is the case. A lot of children whose birth comes with some of these things, and also children who are disabled are thought to be evil, and for them, I think they find it more convenient doing away with such a child, not just because it's a traditional belief, but then also it has a lot of issues surrounding it. It has economic causes, because this is a place where a lot of people depend on subsistence farming, which involves hard work. And so if you are born as a child and you are not going to be able and have that strength to support the family on,
then what's your use?
And so for them, and for many of the people I have been speaking with on this journey, they feel, and it used to be, that it's actually a benefit to the child whose life is taken away, because nobody's going to have your time to give you that sort of special attention that you need, for example, if you didn't have legs. So
has it completely ceased?
I
mean, from what you saw?
I think so. At least for the Sirigu community and then the 7 villages around, which together declared the ban in April last year, I think so. And a lot of people I speak with, the chiefs, the ordinary people, think that yes, there's been a drastic decrease in the belief, and in fact, it's on record that in the last 3 years there has not been any killing of a spirit child in Sirigu.
All right, I'll find out from Raymond what has happened to such children. You work with Africans and you do a lot of work around this.
Yes.
How has the journey been for you?
Well, it's been almost 12 years of hard work, 12 years of working across Sirugu, Mirugu, Natugnia, Yua, and all the other villages that consist of the 7 villages in Sirugu. It's been 12 years of working, first of all, to raise awareness about the belief, to provide support for victims, and also to generally improve on the living conditions of the people, promote access to maternal health care so that mothers stand a better chance of having healthier babies, and also working with the law enforcement agencies to make sure that, you know, it's not just advocacy, but also people are aware that it's against the law to take human life and also the consequences of doing so. So it's been a long journey for us as an organization, and it's a great delight to be where we are now.
You know, one of the curious questions would be, how did they determine that somebody was a spirit child?
Well, historically in the past, you know, just as we have prophets, in a traditional setting, if a child is thought to be, or is alleged, or is feared to be a spirit child, you go through due process. And the due process includes consulting a soothsayer, who will go into a process of divination and come out with a verdict on the life of that child. I mean, this is not a practice that is isolated to northern Ghana or to Sirugu or even to Ghanaians. It's widespread. And so it is the verdict. It is the verdict of the soothsayer that now becomes the destiny of the child, so to say. And so that is often how a child is determined, or the status of a child is determined.
So throughout your 12 years of work, how many children have you rescued?
We've rescued hundreds. We've rescued hundreds, not just because they are feared to be spirit children, but because they have conditions that make them vulnerable or disposed to such beliefs, especially over the past 7 years or so. We've gotten to a stage where we have raised wide awareness in the communities, and the thinking now is that it's more of a medical condition, and it's more of a medical condition, and also that we have provided testimonies, living examples of children that were 10 years ago thought to be spirit children, that have gone through some medical support, that are now living healthier lives in the community. So
how do you do it? Do you take the children away from their parents?
Our approach is an integrated one. In the story, you will find a little Angela. Angela is unfortunately a very healthy baby, about 4 years now, but she was born without limbs, lower limbs. So it's very difficult for Angela's mother, because at this rate she cannot do much for herself. So the mother needs to fully support her, you know. Now that has an economic strain on the mother, as Justice was saying earlier on, and not just on the mother, on the entire family, because in some families, some of the kids have to be pulled out of school so that they can support, you know, the person with physical disability, and these have implications. Now, in terms of where we are in Sirugu, a lot of work, the Operation Sirugu, the work in Operation Sirugu is finished, so to say. We are now looking at consolidating the gains, working with the people who used to be called concoction men, or the people who were responsible for executing the children in the past. We have formed them into an association.
Do they fully understand what's going on?
Oh, they now
do. They get it?
That old man in the story, I mean, he's over 75 years old, Asulia. And, I mean, Asulia, for example, is saying that, you know, where he's gotten to, he didn't understand. But where he's gotten to, he now realized that it was a grave mistake they were committing. And they only, if he doesn't know anything, the examples of children that are now alive in Sirugu. Some of them have even grown up and they are married. Children that they initially thought that they were spirit children. Is sufficient evidence that indeed those children that they killed in the past were not spirit children.
Okay, so I'll come back to you with one of your success stories, a gentleman who is now in the British Army, who has indeed written a book that you're launching. But Justice, we're airing this in full. Give us the times. What's happening to the story?
So this is the shorter version. We've done it's on JN exclusive. We have the longer version on JN exclusive. Part of it has gone already, but then we will do a repeat of that.
Okay.
No, but it's actually gone already. We did it yesterday.
Okay.
But then
but you're saying, you know, there's a part 2 of it.
Yes, we would. But then we would also be at the launch of the book to also listen to some of the success stories from a lot of other people who have been rescued in the process, and also bring a comprehensive coverage of the spiritual spirit. But we are still going to follow up. We are still going to follow up to find out that really children and disabled children in the Upper East region safe.
Okay. So let's talk about Paul then.
Okay. So Paul is one of the examples of our strategy in dealing with the spiritual phenomenon. Quite apart from raising awareness or advocacy, we rescue. And when we rescue, we provide comprehensive support for the child in a holistic manner, in a manner that the child can grow and develop into a responsible adult. And so Paul, 25 years ago, had 3 attempts on his life.
How old was he then?
Well, when immediately he was born, certain circumstances surrounding his birth made, and also the fact that the diviner's verdict was that Paul was responsible for the numerous deaths in his family. And so, based on that verdict, Paul had to be eliminated, or else calamity would befall the entire family, perpetually. And so, you know, Paul survived because a Reverend sister intervened in the community and took him into a shelter, then later became today what we call the Mother of Mercy Babies Home in Sirugu.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Paul was there for some time, but because the project, the facility is located in the community, it was still not safe for him, and so we had to bring him down south. You know, from here he became a very decorated, a very prolific artist, and so the art in this book is an example of Paul's works. You know, he drew this, and not just several other paintings which we sold to support the work that we are doing in Sirugu. Yes. Okay. And so Paul decided to write his story, you know, basically outlining.
How old is Paul today?
Paul is 25 years today. Okay. He's a soldier in the British Army. He's actually a rifleman, and he's served in a duty tour in Afghanistan and in other parts of the world. So quite apart from this, Paul is using his life to raise wider awareness in his own community, to bring home the point that if the community had succeeded in killing him years ago, all that Paul
So Paul is from Sirugu, really?
Paul is from Sirugu. Okay. All that Paul is, and all that Paul is contributing to his community and to the country at large wouldn't have been.
All right. I tell you what, it's, you know, this is great work that you're doing, because I know that in places where there are certain beliefs that have been in existence for years, it takes a lot to change the minds of people. And you don't have a gun on people. You're doing advocacy, you're campaigning, you're educating, and that takes a lot of time.
It does.
So congratulations. I think it will be fair. When are you launching the book, though?
Thank you very much. We are launching the book this Friday, 27th June, at the British Council, in the main auditorium. We are inviting the general public to come and support the worthy cause. We are hoping that all proceeds from the sale of this book, which Paul has actually donated to advocates, should go to support Operation Sirugu in their work to support children that have physical deformities and that need help. Okay. Over the years, we have always depended on the orthopedic center from Nsawam to come over to Sirugu, imagine the distance, monthly almost, to give physiotherapy support to the children so that those who need aid to be able to walk or stand, you know, can get their exercises.
Okay.
Now we think that after 12 years of that, we need a facility at the Child Rights Center built by Africans in Sirugu.
Okay.
So all proceeds will go to building a basic physiotherapy facility at the Child Rights Center in Sirugu.
Okay.
To enable children have regular physiotherapy so that they can be able to live normal, independent lives.
Okay, all right. We pray that you raise enough funds for this project. Thank you, Raymond.
Thank you
and
very
thank you,
much.
Justice, for bringing us the story. Up next.